This is Eagle Owl, and today we're going to talk about Zack Baun and how he's extremely motivated. Also, Howie Roseman is a genius. And lastly, Saquon want to be great. But let's get straight into it. All right, man, we at that part of the time of the year. Ain't really no Eagles news. So we go through interviews, see what the players talked about. And like I said, I was going to go back to these press conference interviews and break it down. And Zack Baun, let's start with him first. He was on Exciting Mics with Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship. And I'm going to break down that interview probably a little more as the week goes or sometime next week. But one of the things I picked up on, I seen this on a YouTube short, is that Zack Baun is extremely motivated. Not only that, he's saying this defense right now compared to last year's defense is miles ahead. But let me play this clip.
What do you think your motivation is to coming back now for this next season?
For me, it's always been like personal, like a competitor. I'm driven internally to just be the best at whatever I'm trying to do. And then obviously watching tape from last year, like I had 150 tackles or whatever, but I'm like, but I missed 29 of them. I could have had this, or I dropped this, or I could have punched at the ball here. So there's always stuff to get better at, and I think we have a lot to do as a defense too.
Oh yeah,
like to think that was all of our first year in that scheme.
Yeah, 100%.
That's crazy.
Like, what are we gonna do next year? Like,
I know.
Already I feel like we're miles ahead of where we were last year at this time.
No, we're miles ahead, which is a good thing. Great thing.
Yeah.
We're having these high level conversations in OTAs. We haven't really been thrown in the fire.
We're not even like planning for who we're like our offense, like who.
So a
we're
lot of
playing
what
with.
ifs.
Yeah.
That could help us,
Which
in
is
the future.
good.
Yeah.
That's really good. He's still motivated because Zack Baun had a great year, and he's still looking at it like, man, I did miss like 20 tackles. Imagine if I could cut that down to 10 or even 0. I could have caught this pick here. And then he just spoke about the defense overall. And this is the benefit of having a coordinator for another year, because it could have been a whole nother coordinator, a whole nother philosophy. Now we know Vic Fangio is probably here till he retire. So the philosophy around the defense is going to be here for a while. So these are the benefits of having a coordinator for another year. Whereas though you see the offensive side, it's always a rotating coordinator. Even though Kevin Patullo been here for a long time, we don't know his philosophy or what he wants to do with the offense. Me personally, I think he should keep it the same, but you just never know. We thought Brian Johnson was just going to carry over Shane Steichen offense, but Brian Johnson did not like using the middle of the field like a Shane Steichen offense. So you just really never know. But with Fangio, what you do know, you probably going to get the similar scheme, same play style as the year before. Of course, some things going to be switched up because the league can catch on. But as far as the philosophy, the language, what to do, then you got guys who've been playing with each other for a while, still in the same system. That's really going to help the team. You still got Zack Baun there. Keely Ringo was there last year. Quinion's still there. Sidney was there last year. Reed was there. Morrow, Jomo. Who else? Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt. See, I almost named pretty much everybody is still there. What? N'Kobe Dean, Trotter Jr. I'm not sure what they're going to put out there. Even if it's Jahad Campbell, he's a rookie. He'll be the new guy, but he's a rookie, so he will adapt to the scheme a lot faster than somebody coming from some other organization in the NFL. That's my personal opinion. And again, man, I like how Zack Baun is talking because he still sound hungry. He got paid. He had one of his better years. He could have just fat catted like, I'm good. That was a good year. Hopefully to repeat. He like, nah, I hope to get better. And that's what you want to hear. But speaking of getting better or wanting to be great, Saquon Barkley spoke about the same thing. And let me play this clip.
Championship and also rushing record. Like, what are you finding is your motivation, the thing that's driving you now that you've accomplished those two things?
The thing that drives me is the same thing that has been driven me since I was a little kid, and I've said it since I got into the league. And I don't mean it in an arrogant way. I want to be the best running back to ever play, or at least one of the best running backs to ever play. I don't think there's actually a way you can prove who's the best. But that's always been my motivation. And I feel like God's blessed me with a unique ability and put me through a lot of adversity, and that's still going to be my mindset. So the love of the game, wanting to win and wanting to compete and wanting to be great, it's always going to push me no matter if we win 4 Super Bowls.
I'm with Saquon. I always look at Saquon's career and just at the 1 year with us, I'm like, yo, imagine if he was here 2 years before, 3 years before. Imagine he was here when Jalen Hurts got here. You know, like Saquon's career trajectory could have been better. What people going to look at, like my son, who is like 4 right now, when he grows up and he hears his old dad talking about how Saquon Barkley was one of the best, a lot of people are going to look at his stats and be like, well, why couldn't he do that in New York? Whereas though I'm watching it right now, New York has a bad O-line. They didn't have the quarterback. There was a losing organization. Whereas though, you look at like a Derrick Henry who was with the Tennessee Titans when they were winning, and then he goes to the Ravens, another winning organization who's doing their thing, and he's doing his thing there. So Derrick Henry always found his way in winning organizations, whereas though you look at a Saquon Barkley, this is his first time really experiencing that. I mean, the Giants had that 1 year when they beat the Minnesota Vikings, and he was even having a offensive player of the year type year that year too. But you seen when all the pieces are just meshing, the old line, him, the receivers, the quarterback, you see what Saquon can do. So if Saquon can give us another 2-3 years of like this type of season, or maybe a little less, because this is like a very good season, a great season, a Hall of Fame season. If we could do something similar the next 2-3 years before retiring, it will be a conversation. But I think in the future, when you're breaking it down, a lot of people gonna look at Saquon like, well, he only did this for 2-3 years. Whereas though you could look at Barry Sanders and those guys, they had consistent years, or even the Derrick Henry consistent years of like a higher 1,000, 2,000. I think Derrick Henry even got a 2K year. But I know watching, I know who the best right now. I think Saquon, he gives you the run ability. He's dangerous when in the passing game. He can block. He gives you everything. There's no reason to take Saquon Barkley off the field. That's how good Saquon is. But I think the Giants thing is going to be really hard to consider him one of the best. But what I'm watching with my eyes, man, it's nothing I never seen. It's something like I never seen before. I know a lot of the old heads like to see Barry Sanders, and Barry Sanders, man, he is nice for sure. I think Saquon's up there. I really, really do. Like, even go watch the Giants. Anytime we played the Giants, I was just like, watch out for Saquon. You watch out for Saquon, you can beat the Giants. Simple as that. And that was always the case. If you slow Saquon down, stop them home runs, yeah, you can do something. But that old line and stuff he was playing behind was terrible. Again, I just think that will hurt his career in the record books. All right, so let's get into the last topic. The last topic is how Howie Roseman is a genius. I hinted at it a little bit when I spoke about Vic Fangio got everybody from last year going into this year and this team being miles ahead. So somebody put up a graphic of like how our defense looked compared to the rest of the NFC East. And I got this screenshot of our defense, and you have the only outside guy started on the defense or projected to start on the defense is Zack Baun. Zack Baun coming from New Orleans. But when you look at Cooper DeJean, Sidney Brown, Keely Ringo, Mauro Jomo, Nolan Smith, and everybody else, those are all Eagle guys. And the reason why I say Howie's a genius is because he's not picking a lot of guys from other organizations. Even when you look at the offensive side of the ball, the only guy or the only 2 guys that are projected to start that came from an outside organization is A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley. Now we get a lot of flack, or not really flack. It's probably more flattering, and if anything, oh, y'all got a super team, but we drafted the super team. That's not our fault. Nobody knew who Jalen Hunt was. Nobody really cared about Nolan Smith. They thought he was going to be a buzz. As Ravens fans, Ravens were saying, "Oh, we so happy we didn't get Nolan Smith," because Ravens really wanted Nolan Smith. But when you look at him today, I think their sentiment has changed. A lot of people passed up on Jalen Carter because nobody wanted to take the risk because his attitude, the car thing or whatever. We took the risk, and Jalen Carter been nothing but a saint in Philadelphia. Like, he haven't been in no trouble. He haven't. AJ Brown wasn't considered elite until he came to Philadelphia. Saquon Barkley, look at when we first signed him. Look at the comments when we first signed him. Wash, bust, oh, he's going to get hurt his first game, second game, or whatever. Nah, to me, he should have been MVP, but he had an MVP season. That's not our fault. Jalen Hurts was the guy that was looked at, oh, the spot took him out Tua. We drafted him, took a risk on him. He beat out Carson Wentz, and now he's a Super Bowl MVP. I'm just saying, that's why I say Howie's a genius. I'm telling you, the team they calling the super team today, there's a lot of people we took a risk on in the draft, and even the guys we traded for or even picked up. We ain't know how they was going to pan out in Philadelphia. A.J. Brown wasn't an all-pro before Philly. Saquon Barkley didn't have a season like that before Philly. Zack Baun was an unknown guy before Philly. That ain't our problem. That means we developing well. We drafting really well. So shout out to Howie Roseman. But that's all I got for you guys today. Hey, man, what do you think? How do you feel? Zack Baun talking that talk. Saquon Barkley. And Howie's just a genius, man. But this is Eagle Out, man. I'm out.